Good evening, everyone. Welcome to It's a Crime. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda. Tonight is a very unique night. I haven't been on a live stream in quite some time. I have been spending the last few days going through the Letecia Stauch trial. So I thought, what a great night to just hop on. We can chit chat because I'm sure a lot of you have really been wanting to talk to somebody about it. And why not talk here, right? Um, so, couple things before we get started. As always, keep it classy. I know it's been a while, so some of you might not remember some of the rules. I'm even having a hard time. I'm feeling a little rusty. However, I think it's important that we talk about this. I've spent the better part of today, yesterday, and I guess Monday going through the trial. So, day one was on Monday. That was when the opening statements happened. Day two was the phone call. There was a phone call, or several phone calls, I should say, between Letecia Stauch and Al Stauch. Now, for those of you who are popping in and going, what is this Stauch stuff? What is this trial? Basically, 11-year-old Gannon Stauch went missing and was reported missing and was also killed on January 27th, 2020, which is over 3 years ago. And his stepmother, Letecia Stauch, is on trial for the murder of Gannon, among other things. So Gannon was found 1,400 miles away. He went missing from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and then he was found in March of 2020 under a bridge in Florida. So here we are. We are at trial finally. This is something, a trial, or I guess a case that has been near and dear to my heart and many of your hearts as well. This is one of the very first cases I worked on after I started my channel here at It's a Crime. So I always promise to see things to the end, and this is one case that I will not miss. So I'm so glad you guys are joining me. That makes me very, very happy, almost to tears happy, but I'm not going to cry yet. I've had enough of crying. So thank you so much for being here. So day one was opening statements. I have some things to say about that, which is interesting. Day two is the phone call between Letecia and Al Stauch, and that's Gannon's dad, Al. And that was quite a long day, and they also finished the phone calls today. So there was also a few witnesses, 1, 2, 3, 4 witnesses I counted. The person who found Gannon, he was inspecting the bridge where he was found in a suitcase. There was the detective of major crimes in Florida and detective of major crimes from Colorado as well. And then also there was a officer with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office who attended the call, I guess, the non-emergency call the night that Gannon was reported as a runaway. And because he was reported as a runaway, there's no need for 911 call, but we all know that needed to be, called as a 911 call. So, oh, look it, and I see my moderators are in here too. I love you guys. I love all you guys. So let's talk about opening statements for a minute. And I did notes as I watched this trial. I type away like crazy and have my little earphones on and just give her. And the opening statements was interesting. Basically, the take from Michael Allen, which I have full faith in him. I've been saying this for a couple years, and it's been incredible so far. He opened up on Monday talking about what happened to Gannon. He was saying that basically there was a numerous amount of stories from Letecia Stauch that didn't make sense. They weren't. Well, they were jumbled, right? It was story after story after story. He says there was a Guardo, and then there was this Quincy Brown that showed up, and just everything didn't make sense. And at one point, she talked about cartels being involved and Gannon's mom, Landon, being involved. And she distanced herself from what actually occurred. And we know that she's on trial for murder, but she's also pleading not guilty by reason of insanity, which means she's saying, yeah, I did it, but this is the reason. She also went through 2 mental health help me out the word. Woo, I'm tired. Um, she went through evaluations, that's the word. She went through two and then a third one. And the two was done in the first year, so by 2021 in January. And then she just finished the third one, albeit late. And it's saying that, yeah, she was, not in her right mind. But it's beautiful how Michael Allen has presented this so far, in my opinion. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how he's bringing this up time and time again. So his opening statement was really about things aren't adding up, it says all of her deliberate actions betray her claims of insanity. She knew what she was did that she, what she did was wrong, so why hide it? And what else do I have on here? There was an interesting thing that Michael Allen talked about the prosecution, and he talked about Harley Hunt, who is Letecia's daughter. And at the time, Letecia was 17, or sorry, I'm sorry, Harley was 17 years old. Now, Harley said that, or sorry, Michael Allen said that Harley was in the best position to know Letecia's state of mind. He says that that was the only other older person that was with her in the house because Al Stauch was away on training for the National Guard. He says Harley was working. She's young, 17 at the time. She becomes Letecia's closest confidant. She rode with Letecia on the van ride to Florida. And it says she will be able to tell you in her own words if Letecia was in her right mind or not. She can say she could. And he said, what else did he say? Basically the job of what the jurors are, and then closing arguments. Both sides will get to make determinations. Then it was time for the defense. Now this is very interesting. When the defense came up, it was a totally different take, obviously, but it was more focused on Letecia and growing up. And she had these trials and tribulations, and that she was abused. And I'm not going to say too much because it's going to get flagged from YouTube. And Lord knows it's already tough enough on YouTube with all this other stuff. So, but he was talking about the questionnaires and saying that raising the insanity thing, that jurors felt it was a bunch of BS and all this. So he says that's a whole lot to deal with. I'm reading my notes if you're wondering why I'm looking over here. But he actually said what happened to this little 11-year-old boy is beyond description. The facts of this case is awful. It's so bad. This is a lost cause. Then he walked to the back of the room and, in my opinion, faked walking out. And he says, like, and everybody kind of fell silent, right? Like, why is it he walking to the back of the room? But he says, ladies and gentlemen, I can't quit. I got to do my job in this case. I wrote this down. It reminded me, did you guys see The Lincoln Lawyer? Have you seen the TV show? Not the movie, but there was the TV show series, The Lincoln Lawyer. I swear this is where I saw it from, and I was trying to find out because I was trying to recall, but I saw this exact scene, and I feel like it was in the Lincoln Lawyer TV show where the lawyer's talking, and then he's like, no, I must stop. I'm gonna walk out, but now I'm not gonna walk out. It was it was really apparent to me. It was really bad, in my opinion. So I thought that was interesting. And then he went through talking about Letecia and stepdads and being abused and going through this big, huge background of that. So, and in the end, he said, this is going to come down to insanity. How do you figure that out? How do you look into the mind of a sick person and find out what they're thinking? And then he was talking about, well, evidence will say it, people's statements, evidence, and all that. So, and then they talked about a bit of picture of, oh yes, the picture of the hike with Gannon, his little sister, and Letecia hiking Garden of the Gods the day before Gannon died. And he was talking about, it was a beautiful relationship and looks like everybody's doing pretty good. It's a happy sunny day and this is the picture and blah blah blah. So that was basically the opening statements. I'm not saying too much, but he called her Miss Staunch. And I swear to God, like, you've been working with her for how long, and you're still calling her Miss Staunch and Stouch, and it's Miss Stauch. It's Stauch. He does teeter a little bit and he goes back and forth. So he says Miss Staunch was hiding an ailing trauma and abuse that had been going on since she was a toddler. She had a troubled childhood. Mother wasn't really much of a mother. She had a line of stepdads or boyfriends or whatever, he says, in and out of her life from the time she was 3 or 4 until she finally moved out. She suffered horrifically from these stepdads and boyfriends of her mother. And then they go on to talk about beatings and other kinds of abuse, and until she was a teenager, said it was constant. So we have this, prosecution talking about Gannon and what he went through, and the steps that Letecia took, and then this whole other thing about just talking about basically Letecia's childhood. And what else? Yeah, some people like blah 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 blah. Yeah. I love you guys saying, yeah, exactly. We love you, Gannon. Um, so he started talking about her breaking down, and this is the defense. She broke on that day, ladies and gentlemen. She broke. It makes sense. Gannon in a suitcase traveling 1,300 miles and throwing the suitcase with Gannon's body over an overpass. There's different stories she told. She was SA'd by somebody, which we know is Eduardo or imaginary Eduardo, and the prosecution is going to play it for you. He says there are all signs and evidence of a mind, a soul that's broken. All the stab wounds, the bruises, the beatings, the burns, what was going on through that person's head, I don't know. It was very, very dramatic from him, very dramatic. It said that she was killing the demons and it wasn't Gannon. And then it goes through we're going to be hearing from the doctor. So that was pretty much it on day one, with the opening statements. And then I'll go to day two. But I wanted to really talk about that because it's really opening up, trying to set up this defense for Letecia. But it's not really working, in my opinion. I heard day two, I watched day two, I heard day three, watched day three. And one of the beautiful things I see is Michael Allen setting it up. So these phone calls would occur and they are bananas. I think you could agree. Let me know. Just put bananas or an Eduardo. Stick an Eduardo, for those who can, of the emoji, or bananas, because the phone calls were bananas. And Michael Allen set it up for every single time this phone call occurred. Michael would say, okay, Mr. Stauch, would you say that she had a change in personality in these phone calls? Did she have a weird different inflection? Did she change her personality? So these types of questions were asked, which was very interesting. I found it super, super obviously strategic, but I loved how he did it because he even incorporated questions about when they played baseball or softball, and said, oh, okay, so in order to play softball, and she was really good, you said, right? Yeah, she was really good at it. Oh, so you'd have to have some strategy behind that, and you'd have to have your faculties to do that. And so these things that he keeps tying back is so beautiful. I love it. So there's all the bananas. And Eduardo. I found that interesting. What about you guys? Did you find that? Because I thought that was cool. Unless maybe some of you haven't watched it and then just waiting for somebody to talk about it, and here I am talking about it. Yeah, there was some great things said. In these phone calls, actually, let's just back up for a minute. Let's go to day two. Let me just find it because I have a lot. There we go. The day two. They opened up, that would be yesterday. Al first got on the stand and he was You could hear him trying not to cry, which is heartbreaking. There's a couple times I broke down today and I just had to stop. But little Gannon was born on September 29th, 2008, and he was only 1 pound 6 ounces. He was 4 months early. I can actually, I guess, say something to that. My nephew was born at a pound 11, and they are teeny, teeny, tiny, where their little butts are like this big, and you have to get your finger in order to pet them, kind of like that. You just have one finger, and you're allowed to pet them, like literally like that, because you could break their back. So I remember visiting my nephew when he was born, pound 11, and it was pretty crazy. And their heads are just like a little tennis ball. They're tiny, super, super fragile. And so he said he brought him home in January of 2009 because they have to stay in the hospital, right? But the things that Gannon endured as a little baby was a lot. I mean, he had lung issues, it said. He had quite a number of surgeries, a hernia surgery, lung collapsed, feeding tube. He said he even had RSV and pneumonia. And then he had lasting issues, like a lot of stomach issues as well. And that comes up. And then he had ADHD. So that was interesting. I've heard that before. We know that before. But um, to go back on that, an interesting fact too was Landon actually had Lena, the little sister, also early, and she went into labor at 23, 24 weeks, which is funny because I actually do the same thing. I go into labor early. I had my oldest son, I went into labor early at 24, and they stopped it. And then same with my little one, my little boy also is the same thing. I went into labor at this 24 mark. It starts, it's really weird. You go through the labor like it's full pain too. And then it just stops. So my sister is the same way. So it's very interesting. An interesting fact, Landon actually has the same birthday as I do. So that's kind of cool. But it's a little bit crazy when you go through all that stuff. So they were talking about moving to Colorado in February of 2019. So that would have only put them 1 year that they lived in Colorado Springs. And they walked through the relationship with Al, married to Landon, and then in 2014, Al and Letecia got together, and then they started getting serious, and then they were married by January of 2015. So the month that Gannon died and was killed was the month that they celebrated their fifth wedding anniversary. And they went through a little bit about the custody arrangements. But it was interesting in these phone calls, there was so many stories, and it bordered on, I mean, I don't want to say crazy because in ways it is, but not crazy like she was insane, just very manipulative. And that's one thing that Michael Allen would keep tying back to, was this a manipulative behavior? Was this something that was normal? And from all the sounds of it from Al, that this was normal, and that there was a manipulation quite often. Yeah, I was looking for you, or I knew you would have something to say about these calls. Yeah, it's going to be a long, 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is. I will be coming on here. I have lots to say about Letecia, as I have in the last 3 years. I've done over 70 videos in the case, and I've done a couple of recent ones so you guys can get caught up really quick. But yeah, so Gannon goes missing on January 27th. By February 13th, February 14th, that's when these calls were made. Now, if we still talk back to the January 27th, he goes missing. And then by February, was it 4th? I think it's 4th, that Letecia was already in Florida and then heading to South Carolina. So where was I going with that? So all these things happen. Letecia remember she did her head turn to the camera interview. She already was interviewed by the authorities. She went in, although it was 2 hours late, she went in for this interview and then she skipped town. And that was where Gannon was taken for 1,400 miles in a van with Harley as well in the van. And it was not a closed off van, it was just one of those rental vans with the big back. So Gannon would be in the suitcase. And then Letecia stayed at a hotel 3 miles away from where the bridge was, where Gannon was thrown over. So um, by that time, now she's talking to Al on February 13th, February 14th. So all this already has occurred. And now these stories keep coming out. And there was definitely 50 different stories. Now, he did and he's doing a very good job, in my opinion. Al is on the stand. I am I guess I don't know if I should say impressed, but he is very good with obviously Michael Allen, but also Mr. Tellini. I find that he's keeping his ground, and things like Mr. Tellini will say, "Oh, would you say that, Letecia is intelligent?" And he's like, did I say that? Can you show me where I actually say that?" Just things like that. And he's a little there's a little bit of pushback, which is good. And you can see Mr. Tellini a little bit flailing. I think that would be a good word, is flailing. He just calls him out and he's like, I don't know if I said that. Can I see the transcript where I actually said that? And then you see Tellini kind of flailing, trying to figure it out. So, hello, everyone coming in. Thank you. And let me see. So, there was also some interesting new information that was coming out in the hearing, in the trial, but also in the phone calls, and we'll get to that in a minute. But there was a part where they were talking about being in Alaska, and that was where Al was stationed in Alaska. He said that Letecia would come up and visit, not live there, but just visit. And there was some allegations towards harassment of the S kind. Don't want to get flagged on YouTube, but that caused some issues for Al and led him to transfer from Alaska. And there was apparently, this was interesting new news because I don't remember this. She said she was pregnant with twins. Letecia said she never gave birth and wasn't pregnant. So the basic gist of the last couple days was there were a lot of stories given by Letecia even long before Gannon was missing. The last 5 years, it's like there's money being borrowed or taken, and then she admits to it. There's something that's hanging from a garage and saying that somebody was an intruder, and then you go check and then she admits that she was lying about it. So there was a theme through this, is just lie, manipulate, lie. Yeah, I found him excellent as well. He's very strong on there. There's a couple times where he broke down, of course, I mean, who wouldn't? But the way he handles Mr. Tellini, I was very impressed. There was a couple points too, and I'll read this to you once I get there in the phone calls, where I mean, it's been serious for 3 days. I've had some, tears, and I certainly have, and going through it. But there was a couple points where I actually burst out laughing, the way Al was getting fed up with Letecia. And it's not that it's funny, but it was almost that just let it out, it's been so serious, and the way he worded it. I will tell you, we'll read it because I did it verbatim, because I thought, well, this is just a little bit of you know, I don't want to say comic relief. It's just the way he worded it was like, yeah, hello, because we know Tisha is having these moments, and it was just ridiculous. Um, on Elsie's chat, people were wondering if I-95 was a slip up by her. Totally was a slip up. She said she was on the phone with Al talking about, you know, looking around and checking, and you just might be off of the 95, and Al says, "What are you talking about, the 95?" And I looked up the 95, and it was right where in Florida where Gannon was found, was right where the I-95 is. So yeah, I think it's totally slip up. And Erica says, "I will be watching your updates. This trial is going down the street for me, but I can't watch it too live. Too many things in life that makes this hard for me. It's very hard. I'd like to be there. 6 to 8 weeks is going to be a little bit long." Okay, so in 2019 there was burglary allegations. There was two of them. And they said on the one of them, it was a burglary of fall of 2009. Apparently, there was a hammer hanging from a string in the garage that included some sort of attic access, and there was a squatter. And there was reports that an ammo can, which was kept next to the bed or under it, was open and dumped out like someone rummaged through it. Clothes in the hamper was dumped out, and a mattress was pushed off the box spring. And so Letecia was saying that there was a burglary in the house. Sound familiar? And she said there was a gunshot claim that she fired one of the weapons in the storm well, it says. They're talking about all these weapons that they have in the house, which was quite a few that I thought of, but I'm Canadian, so I don't know what normal is in the States. So there's quite a bit. And I realize that he is, Al's in the National Guard and that kind of thing. So I realize you guys are allowed firearms in the house. Not that Canadians can't. Well, who knows? But down the road. But anyways, I was a little bit surprised at that. Tiffany says she's a walking red flag. Oh yes, lots of red flags. Me and my red flag videos over the years. She definitely is. It doesn't make her look crazy, these calls. It just makes her look very, very manipulative, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. And thank you so much for the super chat, Tiffany. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So this is this burglary allegation. And then it said in the trial that the defendant admitted she made that up. So there's this manipulation. Now, then they started talking about trips and if they have passports, and they were working, all these things about, going on trips, and I guess with luggage and whatnot, because Gannon was found with luggage. What else? She went through 8 jobs in 3 years, all by her decision to end it. I thought that was interesting. We knew she had a little colorful past, but I don't know if I remembered 8 jobs. What else? Oh, there was a conflict with her and the principal. That was in 2019 as well. And in Al's opinion, he said it was manipulating in your mind, getting out of that particular school, blah, blah, blah. Same thing, or as she says, yada, yada, yada. Interesting. When she says yada, 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 it's one of those throwaways. Like she says the story that it's going to be, and then she says yada, yada, yada. Because sometimes she says whatever, whatever. And there was a body cam footage. I'll get a little bit more into that, but there was body cam footage that they finally talked about today for when Gannon was reported missing, and then the cops come to the house. And she didn't use yada yada. She used something else. Not whatever, whatever. There was another thing. I wrote it down because I thought, I don't know about this. So, this just flipped. Bear with me as I scroll. I have a lot of stuff. Yeah, so it was interesting because as you hear in the phone calls, you start to hear things put together of what evidence is. Gannon was barefooted. Then he stepped on something in the garage. He had boards. There was boards underneath the car. She said, zip ties. She was talking about all kinds of things. He cut his foot, and they found evidence with the car had blood on it. So all these little things She's starting to piece together. This keeps flipping. I don't know what the deal is. Oh, yes, something, something, something. That's the other thing. I was kinda waiting on some of these phone calls if she was gonna say anything on some things like asked her. Remember I used to ask her questions? For those of you who watched, I would ask Letecia questions right on camera. I'd look at because I started going, "Wait a minute, I just talked about that in the video. How come all of a sudden she's talking to Crime Online and answering some questions?" So there was times where I was looking at her and I would literally go like this in the camera, like, "Letecia, here's what I don't understand. Can you just explain this to me?" And then she would go and she would answer it. So I was half expecting in some of these phone calls that maybe that she would say, like this either answering or telling Al something. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if she was saying, "Oh, the social media," and this girl, was asking me these questions. I did, I triggered her. Yeah, that was fun. Wasn't it was just like I once I started noticing there was an answer to it, I just was like, I'm just going to look her in the eye on the thing and just ask her these questions. So we'll see if something comes out in the next 10 weeks. I'll have to review some of my videos too because, 3 years ago and there's 70 videos, so I can't remember everything, but maybe one of these days I'll be down there and then get to see her. I don't know. Um They did pull up a little bit about the video, and the video was a I guess, a Facebook profile video that Letecia posted, and she posted it around the time that Gannon would be put over that bridge because they have GPS evidence of or the phone evidence also with Letecia down there, and then her being at the hotel, and then this 3 miles away from the Escambia Bridge, and they have digital evidence, I should say. So still remember this day, and it still chokes me up. I still get riled up about it because Letecia grabbed this video, and this video was, prior when they were on vacation, and Gannon waving like this and saying, waving by, and then running and jumping in the water. And it's the same time that Gannon was going over the bridge in this luggage. And I remember Landon losing her marbles on social media about it, like, take my son's video down right now, kind of thing. And I remember going, "Oh my god, this is not good." So today they brought it up, and then they didn't was maybe that was yesterday. It's running together. It was probably day 2. And the attorneys came up to the bench, and then it was kinda like they didn't really talk about it unless they missed something. So, um, that was interesting, but perhaps they'll bring it back. I'm sure Michael Allen will. What else? Yeah, the jumping in the water. One of the things that Al kept talking about is he knew something was up to was when Al was in Oklahoma. He flew back because he found out that Gannon was missing. Letecia goes and rents a vehicle and picks him up, but she does some switcheroos. I did a video on it. There's six cars involved, 6 vehicles involved, pretty much in this renting, switching, all this stuff. And he's like, Letecia, where's your vehicle? She's like, well, I had to rent it. I didn't want to, my lease, and I didn't want to do the mileage and whatever. So I rented a vehicle. And he's going, well, this is weird. Where's your car? Oh, it's at French Elementary School. Well, it's not. It was actually parked at the airport. And so he went around this French Elementary School, went down around 3 times, and I was like, something's not right, and reported it to the authorities. So all this weird behavior, and remember, if you've been following this for a while, Letecia never really searched. I remember hearing her saying, well, search, search, search. Where am I going to search? Right? I think that's exact words she used. So things started getting sketchy pretty darn quick. Lots of discrepancies. Let me see. And then the phone call. She was complaining about social media. And then the key to the side of the garage is still bothering me. And then, yeah, there's so much stuff. Yeah, she was all over the TV, all over the true crime stuff. I know she was watching mine, so I'm gonna be interested when they bring up fakepolygraph.com. Can't wait for that day. I did a video just recently on that, but, okay, what else? They're talking about the hike and all that, the Garden of the Gods. She said she went on 2 hikes that day. She went around she's talking to Al, but she says, "So if you leave from my neighborhood." I thought that was weird kinda wording, talking about she took the dogs through this trails in Lorson Ranch, but she was talking to Al saying, "So if you leave my neighborhood," trying to tell her where they went. That was weird to me. Nice to see you guys. Um, there's so many. She goes through this ADT, I mean, the candle wax video, and it just it just keeps going. My head after watching this for 2, 3 days, but especially the phone calls, like, it's already bad enough what the parents are going through. So Al's listening. Basically, Al is going, "Okay, my son is gone. I don't know where he is." And then having to deal with the BS of these phone calls. And there was quite a few on Valentine's Day. There was like 4 or 5, I don't know how many. It was just like 8 minutes, 21 minutes, an hour and a half. This. One thing in the video that I don't remember hearing this, and Letecia released this candle video. So the night before Gannon went missing, there was this candle incident, and that the carpet was burned. And then we hear that Gannon had burns on his arms. And Letecia released this video thinking in her mind, in my opinion, that she was going to be vindicated. Like, see, I was good. Like, this is what I was doing. But it was actually the opposite. But one of the things they talked about in here and they played the clip was that Gannon said, "I'm worried about my burns." But I don't remember ever hearing that. It was more like, um, pinky promise. And it was a very horrific audio clip because you couldn't really see anything because she had it in her pocket or whatever. But as soon as he started saying, "I'm worried about my burns," she was cutting him off. She didn't want him to talk about that. So, um, yeah, hearing that was not good. And and then we hear, she was up late that night. It was quite late because I remember looking at the time stamp. It was like 10 or 11. The kids still haven't got to bed, and then you have this audio clip, and that was the day Kobe Bryant died, and she was all a mess apparently, but Al's going, "Well, I didn't really know she was into Kobe Bryant. I thought it was somebody else." Right? So, nice to see you, Sarah. Nice to see you. Camping with cartels, squatters, fake sonograms, and dog periods are my favorite so far, Linda. Listen. Listen, honey. Listen, Linda. Yeah, the dog period stuff was very interesting too, that she was at Petco and she's trying to, because she didn't know about it. Yeah, that was a good one too. Thanks for reminding me that. Yeah, Elizabeth, she edited that clip out of hearing Gannon. Yeah, because I remember doing that clip, but I don't remember ever having that for sure. And thank you, Sarah, too, for the super chat. I meant to say thank you. It's always fun to see your comments. um, Nice to see you guys too. So that was a basic, you know what, show. By Monday morning, she was texting, or she let her work know, because that was supposed to be her first day of work. She said that she couldn't make it in because her stepdad got hit by a car and died. And so, the manipulations all over the place. And then we know that she went on her tour of the city to go to Petco and all this, and apparently she went to Dunkin' Donuts. Um, they're talking about being constipated and helping Gannon out. She made the decision that it was not okay to stay there by himself if he was sick. We saw that in text. She looked up, what are the rules of leaving my son home alone? And then she also had all those other crazy texts, basically. I feel like she took it out. It was like she took it out on her phone. It's like this. I wonder if I'm gonna get a Valentine's Day card from the kid's mom, and she's just like takes it out on her phone. Just doing a quick perusal of the comments. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I need to get this all out. You guys probably do too, because you just can't even make this crap up. There was a line she said. First, there was. Okay, let's back up. Because they were talking about the burns. And Al's like, "You didn't give any pain medicine." She's like, "No, I didn't have medicine. I wrapped him in bandages. I put green aloe. We laughed about it." Al's like, "No children's Tylenol or anything." And she's just basically no. But Al goes, "Well, that's weird. The kids scrape their fingers and want a band-aid," which is true. I have an 8-year-old. I have a 20-year-old. I mean, he doesn't need the band-aids. But my 8-year-old be like, "Oh, mommy, look it. Look, there's this little BB cut." And he's like, this is just like not even a paper cut. He's like, I need to go get a band-aid." Okay, go get a band-aid, right? Granted, Gannon was 11, but still, I get it. Kids want that anyways. The little band-aids on there. And then they started talking about. Tisha says, "Well, Gannon started to peel these burns because he was asleep or anxious," she said. So he started to peel his skin. She says, "I said, listen, if it gets worse, I'm not the type of person I go immediately to the hospital. I was trying to evaluate it and see. I didn't see that he was under any type of pain. If it was a lapse of judgment on my part, I apologize." He started peeling his fingernails. I sent you a picture of Gannon Monday morning, which we've seen these pictures. She says, "I checked in on him. I gave him more water, gave him more Pedialyte. Gannon had blood, which was on his that was on his arm and on the side of the wall." So in evidence, they found blood on the side of the wall. They found it underneath the mattress on the floor, and outlets. Like there was a lot of spatter on it. And Al says, "Well, wait a minute. I never heard this before. Now I'm even more worried about Gannon. What's going on?" Tisha says, "Well, I asked Gannon, why do you have blood on your wall? It wasn't a law. Don't panic." Al says, Al starts talking about it, but um, she said something. She says, "I said, Gannon, did you peel those things?" "Yes, he did." "Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to rebandage your arm. Do you want to go to the hospital right now? I didn't think he needed to go right away. If you start to feel any pain," then she says, "that was our intent. That was the play the entire time." What does that sound like? Remember in the West case? Like, that's about it. That's how it all played out. She said that was our intent. That was the play the entire time. She said that. I was like, ooh, ooh. Justin, how's the golf? Nice to see you. Where's the chant? I only see one Linda. Usually Justin comes on in the comments is Linda, Linda, Linda. I was diving. I've been diving. Okay, so that was interesting about that talk, and then of course she does her yada yada yada. In my one of my previous videos a long time ago, remember when I had the yellow wall? I just said I was talking about her yada yada, and you could see me go in the camera going, leave Seinfeld out of this, right? Oh, I can't. This was interesting. Then they started talking about the bags. She says we needed to meet the guy about the bike. So she's saying the reason why she went out of town up north, which is where Gannon was for a short time before she moved him, she said she was going to go look for a bike for Al for Valentine's Day. And that's where all this stuff started. Well, she placed herself in Douglas County. And so she starts talking to him on the phone saying, "Well, we need to meet the guy about the bike. That's why we drove the truck, because if we bought the bike, we would have to put it in the truck." She said, "When we left, we took my softball bag, Harley's bag and helmet, and Harley's bag had an Easton bag, which I'm assuming it's kind of like that big hockey bag, but I don't know, maybe a softball bag is smaller. Up in Canada, we play our hockey." um, but I found that interesting. So I wonder how many bags was actually in here. That's when she said we went to Dunkin' Donuts by our house. Dunkin' Donuts shared the video. She says you can see coffee out the side because I was about to get Gannon a frappuccino. But oh, her arm was out the side to get the coffee. But Gannon said he didn't want it, so he drove off. And then she starts talking about turning on the 25 and going here, talked about the Petco. Now she says there's only Petco, but when I did the video, there's lots of Petcos. And that's why I was like, why is she going up north for to Petco? It didn't make any sense. And she also left her phone home that day. Yeah. Oh, we do. Man. Yeah, lots of banging in the storage room. And her defense lawyers look defeated already because the evidence is stacked, yada, yada, yada. Hello, Brandon. Nice to see you. Yeah, it was good. I'm glad I could just irritate her a little bit. I would love to irritate her and sit in that courtroom. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe that'll happen and I get to. Although here's the other thing that you may have noticed too, that well, all the way up to this point, whenever she's in court and Al's there, she's doing this. Like there is no looking at Al. There's nothing. But during these phone calls, she's doing this, she's doing this, she's doing that. And I just thought, you know what? Hands at your sides, you listen to this, right? I feel that way. No, you have to be here. You're here 100%. Take your hands off your ears. She's doing this. This. Nope. You're going to look. I did see her look up. A lot of times she's looking down, but I did see her look up about the bridge. Thought that was interesting as well. Okay, so we're going to keep going. Yeah. She was talking about, okay, this is where the comic relief has to be because it's so ridiculous about her going into, she needed the pads for the dogs. She didn't know that that's what happens to these dogs. She says, my mind was so blown that the dogs have these. She says she was kept looking out the door. So first she said she kept looking at the door, looking out because people at Petco were even saying when this was happening, this was super weird. She kept going to the door, but she's saying, no, I went to the door to see if Gannon was there. And then the story changed. You're like, no, Quincy or one of these guys were following me. And so he was in the parking lot. It just, there was like so many stories. I mean, do I even talk about them? They're so ridiculous. What else? And then they talked about never making it to play it against sports, which is North. She puts herself out there. Oh, she goes to refer to her notebook. What else? And the ADT. Now, I want to look this up. Okay. Maybe you guys, one of you guys, if you want to look this up and see, I don't know if I called it my ADT video. I want to find out the date that I did my ADT video because I'm wondering if it was before or after this phone call. Because I did a whole series, not a whole series, a whole video on maybe a couple. on the ADT video, but she was starting to talk about that, and now all of a sudden she's bringing that into play. I was like, I wonder if she saw that one or if it was before she's talking to Al. I don't know. She's ridiculous. Remember when Drayton, Roderick, not Drayton, Roderick, yeah, Roderick Drayton. Anyways, Roderick, the neighbor, he had the security video, and Letecia said to Crime Online, well, he got paid $5,000 for this video, so he can say whatever he wants. Roger gets on, he's like, didn't get paid anything. Like, this is what I saw. This is how it is. Yeah, she's been plugging her ears like a defiant toddler. Oh, I see a super chat there. Change Forever says she slipped and said 95 straight to Florida. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you for the super chat. There was a video I did before. I guess I did how Gannon got to Florida. That was the video. Then there was another one because we were trying to figure out the mileage because there's a screw up on the mileage. We're trying to figure all that. But yeah, as soon as she said 95, you could hear Al go, wait, 95? You better watch what you're saying because now all of a sudden the cops are, the authorities are going to go be looking out east. What's going on? And sure enough, guess who's found out east? Let's see what else. Whew. Then she was on her Peloton. Like it is just ridiculous. Looking Beyond says, did you hear that interview that the girl did with her from Facebook where Letecia said, I'm the one that told was Petco. I didn't even have my phone. Yeah, I do breakdowns of the calls as well. I played the call and then I'll stop and I'll start to dissect what she says. Yeah, I remember that too. I know. I know. The mispronunciation has got me too. It's like if I hear that one more time, and then even Mr. Tellini couldn't even say Landon right. Like, how do you not know the child's mother's name? Okay. She was talking about being 4 to 5 weeks pregnant. They're talking about Eduardo. She says, I was a little bit out of it, not going to lie. My body was already weak. You know how it is in the first 4 to 5 weeks of being pregnant. And Al goes, wait a minute. Do you think I want to tell you what a man did to me? That's what she said, because she's going on. She's like, I don't want to tell you what he did to me. Do you think I want to blast it on El Paso News? She said, all of it was a blur. Now, remember, so she went from Gannon's a runaway to no. Eduardo, I found him. He was going to fix the carpet. I gave him the code to the garage. He came in. I got assaulted. I went upstairs and I told Lena not to come in the house and go play on your bike. And then I went back downstairs for more. Then she's saying Gannon was high-fiving the guy and then wasn't, and jumped on his back, and then he did things to him, and yet there's no video evidence of Eduardo or any other man. Today they did the body cam. They talked about, okay, to the officer, did you look everywhere? Yes, we looked everywhere. Did you see a man, any kind of man hiding anywhere in the house? No. Did you look everywhere? Yes. You don't believe there could be a man hiding in the house? No. So that was fictitious Eduardo, who turned into Quincy Brown. And this Quincy Brown guy it changed, but she got his picture from the lineup or online because it was El Paso's most wanted at that time. And she looked him up, and that's what even the authorities said. We believe she looked him up. And Al said something about that too. He has some good comebacks to her for sure because it was just you can't even make it up. It's just so bad. Yeah, it's been a while. I love going live too. I love talking to you guys. So then she was admitting, okay, you know what? I told Lena and Harley to go to the dollar store, the whatever it was. We have a Dollarama. I don't know. I can't remember what she called it there. It was the dollar store. Go down there and get a carpet spray for the dog smell, carpet powder for the dog smell, she says. She goes, I don't want Lena and Harley to come in. But she goes back downstairs, not, hey, you guys, there's somebody in the house. I need you to go call 911 right now. Can you please go? No, no, just go to the dollar store, pick up some supplies. I'll talk to you later. I'm gonna go back downstairs. Like, mm, really? Uh, what else? And then Al joked about the $5,000 because she was saying about the what do you call it, surveillance video about the $5,000. There's some interesting things though. She's taken some money before. It was 8,000 and then 2,000 when Gannon went missing because he needed some money or she needed some money to stay somewhere because remember she got kicked out of the house because she's, lying in that. I don't blame her. Yeah, there was a story about Uncle Matt too. I haven't heard that either. Today there was an Uncle Matt that was involved. So now there's an Uncle Matt that was also introduced. So we have Eduardo, Quincy, Uncle Matt, and the bike guy, the one that she was gonna go buy. That was a bike guy as well. So we got all kinds of stuff. This is good though. I love this. I put it in bold. Right, good timing because we're just at the mic. Uncle Matt. She said, I thought Gannon was hiding. I mentioned to the girls what the F happened. I didn't get the time to go through any of the emotions. All I can immediately do is, oh my God, get the girls out of here. Was he going to take him to Uncle Matt's house? I don't know an Uncle Matt. I'm not effing crazy. Boom. Yeah, no, you're not. I wish they highlighted that because I highlighted it on as I bolded that I'm not effing crazy. No, just evil. Eduardo Omeletto. Right? So what else? They're talking about this side of the gate. Yeah, she says I the description I gave to El Paso, blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't yada yada this time. And she also lied about the so once she had this assault happen, she went to the authorities for an interview. She's 2 hours late. She brings her notebook, right? She's bringing her notebook. They're like, for the first time in 2 decades or whatever it was, I've never seen somebody bring in a notebook. So she has her notebook in there, right? She's talking, she's going, whatever. And then things are starting to get serious. And she fakes, in my opinion, she fakes an emergency. So she also, before she does that, she stuffs Kleenex down her pants, which is so that they don't get her DNA. Okay. So she goes to the hospital. Now, I cannot wait, you guys. I cannot wait till we hear that call because it says it was audio recorded, but it said that she was incoherent on the drive there. But magically, that was the words in the document was magically she was okay once she got to the hospital and she didn't get a kit done. Okay. So if you're something's going on, right? Aren't you reporting this? Like, okay, maybe you're scared, maybe, but all of a sudden you're fine and no kit, right? And no call, and you send the kids off to play. So she was saying, um, She changed her clothes and threw that away. And Gannon's shirt was burned. She says, "I didn't mean to clean up anything bad." Al says, "Well, wait a minute. I thought you cleaned up the area." And then she's going back to, "Well, they wouldn't let me go to the bathroom. The hospital bill was the whole kit on my body." Talks about the blood again, about cleaning things up. And so Al's trying to figure this out, poor guy. He's like, "Okay, I'm trying to retrace these steps. What about this Mexican guy? Did he have pictures other than where to find me at?" She goes, "Everything's on my phone, Albert. I reached out to him. They have access to my phone." She's starting to get upset. But he says to her in this phone call, he says, "I'm trying to help you and Harley be safe." He says, "I had to change clothes to blend in better because he was getting, bothered by people or whatever." He says, "We can work on this together." I got to straight up ask the question, "Did you kill Gannon?" She goes, "Did I kill Gannon?" The answer is no. She goes, "You asked me if I killed our child. That's horrible." But he's saying, "Listen, like, did anything happen? What was an accident? Maybe it was an accident. Something happened. I need to know. I need to know where my son is." And he's just going over and over and over. This quickly started changing into she wants immunity. That was a big thing. "I want immunity." And it was like 20 minutes, one phone call. Then it's another phone call. Immunity, immunity, kept going, 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 going. Um, so that was interesting too, I found. He says, "Did an accident happen?" She said, "If an accident happened, I'm smart enough. I know what to do." She was talking about an example in the classroom. If somebody accidentally drops a kid, she says maybe the kid might have broke their, foot or whatever leg. She goes, "You just call and you work through it." She says, "I can't believe that you're saying Gannon isn't alive. What's wrong with you? He would have been found by now," he says. "I'm just trying to help you get through this. I want to know what happened to Gannon and keep Harley safe." So he's going through that. He says, "Did Gannon die and you just freak out? Was there an accident involved? Did you kill him? You're the only one who has this information." And then he said it again. "Did you kill Gannon?" "No." "Did Gannon die on your watch, whether accident or injury?" "No." "Did Gannon have an accident you covered up?" "No." He goes, "Now this is going to be uncomfortable for you. Did Harley kill Gannon?" "God, no." "Was she involved with you?" "No, I haven't been involved either." Yes, this too. This was good. The way she knew Quincy was because he was wearing baggy pants and that his ID fell out and then she could read it. Remember? Yeah, Tisha reacting. I knew it, and then when I started asking the questions, that was a test, and then the test was happening. Man, that was a lot. That was tired times for sure. So sad that it ended the way it was. Yeah, she does have priors, some people are asking. Acuerdo Omeletto. Yeah. Um, she's talking about Colorado, the 95. He says, "Then they're going to look up and down the East Coast." Letitia's changes and says, "Sorry." So she's riled up. Letitia's riled up about, asking, "Did I kill Gannon?" and all this. And she was talking about the borders. She goes, "As soon as you tell me this," she goes, because hang on, let me back up. Al says, "These stories don't sound legit. Something's off because there's different versions. You got to put yourself in my shoes. What would you do if this was Harley? How would you put these pieces together? I'm just trying to fit the pieces." And she's getting riled up. She goes, "As soon as you tell me this, I would get off this phone. I'll have my husband and my children together in my home and we'd be praying. I'd be on the phone and support my husband. We need to find someone over here. Somebody had to see something. Put an effing alert out. Close the borders from Colorado to 95. There we go." And then It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about 95, right? Which is where he ended up being. And he says, if he says, then be careful what you say because then they're going to look up and down the East Coast. Tisha changes her demeanor right away and says, oh, oh sorry. Like went from here down to here. I've never seen her do that so fast. So, oops, Letecia. That was day 2. Then we go to day 3, which was today. And this is where Al gets fed up of her crap. He did so well on these phone calls. So these phone calls we recorded at the FBI office, and obviously recorded. And so he was doing so well talking to her, asking these questions, keeping his cool, going, wait, 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 what about this? I thought you said this. What about this? I thought you said this. And he was doing so well. By this time, there was, I don't know how many phone calls. So today, day 3, they were talking about, it was Valentine's Day. So they started on the 13th to record. Now it's the 14th. She answers, she's like, I'm tired of crying, right? And he's going, Happy Valentine's Day. So they start talking about, picking up where they left off. He said, Al says to Tisha, you took over $2,000 out of the bank account and I didn't say a word about it. So you took a third of my monthly income and I didn't say a word. She goes, first of all, I didn't take $2,000. I didn't have a place to stay, but apparently she took $1,500. And then she was complaining because it cost money for a hotel and a pet fee, and she'd had an Uber and all that. He says, all I'm doing is focus on Gannon. He said, you see on social media, people aren't happy with you. I can sit here talking to you, my wife, and then go through all the cussing and the drama. So I'm trying to respect you as well. And I need that in return. She goes, I haven't talked crap about you. So they're going back and forth on that. And he's saying, there's a line in the sand that we have now. We have a gap between us. We have a gap between us so you can put a label. There's no closing the gap until we get to the truth. So she's going, well, did you talk to an attorney for divorce? Right? He's just saying, look, there's a line in the sand. I need to know the truth. I need to know where my boy is. She pulled something out of her ears. I'm assuming earplugs or tissue. Yeah. Probably the tissue that was from her pants. I have to laugh sometimes. This stuff like, look at me. I'm so tired. And just listening to that all day, just intently and taking notes. It's been a long 3 years on this too. This one is near and dear to my heart, so it hurts too. Here's where she starts talking about immunity. She says, I'm begging you, give me immunity. I will help. And she's she was crying at this point. He says, Tisha, immunity is granted by the judge. I have nothing, there's nothing I can do about it. She said, I need immunity, please. This was like, I don't know how many times I wrote that, like 20, 30, 40. It was just constant immunity. She says, I need immunity because they are going to try and incriminate me. And she was sobbing. But Al's saying some of that phone call was real crying and some of that phone call was not real crying. More manipulation. And then Al says, look, he said, I'm trying to think of a way about getting the information. He's like, what if you told me one key thing and I'll call a tip tip into the tip line? She said, no. He said, it'll be anonymous. I'll just be some man calling in as a tip. And she was talking about some sort of reward, but she was hysterical about it. So there was points where you couldn't hear a lot. in the recordings. It was very muffled at times, very like, what is she saying? Rewinding and going to that. So it was hard. You could hear Al crystal clear, but it was hard for her sometimes to hear everything she was saying. This is the one thing she was talking about Al's assault rifle and that she just couldn't get it to work. And I thought, oh my God, did she try that on him? Because Gannon was shot in the jaw. He was shot in the jaw, and they found two casings in the pillowcase. He was also stabbed 18 times and had defensive wounds on his arms as well. So I don't know what happened. Okay, let's see. Another call. Yeah, he's saying based on previous experience, fake crying, some was real, some was fake. And then she was talking about some gang. Sorry, I'm just reading for a minute. I forget sometimes a couple seconds feels like an eternity when we don't read. Yeah. Okay. You guys are, yeah, talking about some of the call. It was funny. Okay. This was heartbreaking. Actually, let's back up a minute because she's talking about wanting immunity. And he said, What does this have to do with who has Gannon? You do what you have to do and call the police. I'm not dealing with that. Who has Gannon?" She goes, "Did you even call the guy to talk to him about this immunity?" He goes, "I'm not your lawyer. I'm telling you, you want this effing immunity because there's no dude. Prove me otherwise. If there's this effing guy out there, I'll say I was wrong. There's no effing dude, Tisha. Prove me wrong. Did you accidentally hurt him? Did you give him too much medicine? What happened?" She goes, "Well, what do you think happened then? You tell me what happened. What do you think happened?" And he said, "I was not home. That was problem number one. Something bad happened and I wasn't there to take care of it. So for the rest of my life, no matter what happens, I'm going to blame myself for this because I wasn't there, because I was trying to progress in my career and be successful in all of these things. I just wasn't there. And that was number one. Number two, you told me a lot of things happened in a 24-hour period. Nobody's to blame in all these stories, and you just panicked. That's what I think. Maybe there was a big accident, too much medicine, or hit his head, or Gannon's head was bleeding. All these things running through my head. Whatever the truth is, Gannon did something and it was an accident. And because I wasn't there to keep it all together, you panicked, and I don't have a theory for the rest of it." He says, "I believe there was absolutely no guy there. You've told nobody that but me. Screw the police. They aren't listening anyway." So he's trying to get her to talk. "They're looking at all these places and they shouldn't be looking there. I'm listening to you." So he's kind of buttering her up a little bit. "You do a great job of providing for them. I'll tell you that all the time. And you really want me to feel like you're better than Landon. And I tell you all that. I tell you all the time that you are." So keeps saying, "Look, it's an accident. If it was an accident, tell me it was an accident. You panicked and we'll get through this. We'll work it out." Where's Brenda? I saw your comment. Where is it? Abracadabra. You got immunity. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Mimi. I'm tired though. Super tired. Um, then she's going off about Petco. Again, phone goes off, then it continues. Now the guy followed them to Petco because he was laying down on the road, and then this dude gets in the truck with us, she says. And Gannon was crying in the back seat till he threw up. And then she's talking about the shadow and the footage. I did the video on that about Gannon not coming home slash coming home. And this is a little bit of a debate that people have. This is where I laughed. Okay, so back up. This guy all of a sudden's laying on the road, magically Tisha's driving and he hops in the truck and tells her we have to go back to her house, right? So Al says, "Listen, I'm going to be straight up again because I'm getting frustrated because this is even more bulk than the original 17 stories." He goes, "I mean, no effing guy jumps in your truck. I mean, the car's locked when you're driving unless you stop and open the doors. Anyway, I'm not going to pick it apart. It's BS, okay?" And so she's talking more about I want immunity. It's just so messed up, honestly. He says, "I just want my family and Gannon." He says, "So that's why you keep saying crap like that. Gannon is part of your family. He isn't, and he's part of it." Because she's going, "I want my family and Gannon." And he's like, "No." So he's really good at that. I've seen him um, analyze almost statement right away. And he goes, "No, wait a minute. You just said I want my family and Gannon." So that's he says you keep saying things like that. Gannon's part of the family. He's an and. She did that too in her interview. I break that down as well. In my past things, she separates. She does that in there too. He goes, "There's been 5 years of lies, and now my son's gone. And where is he?" And she goes, "With Quincy Brown." He goes, "I'll let them know to go look for a 5'7" Mexican guy." And then he's just like starting to be a smart ASS because he's fed up of her. And I can't, like, he did really well. He did really well on those phone calls trying to get her to talk. And he's getting frustrated. And then he's making these smart comments, which is, in a way funny, but um, yeah, Steve. Okay, oops. Uh, Yeah, I love when he Googled Quincy Brown on the phone with her and started laughing in her face. Yeah, that was good too. Steve says, "It's a crime." Have y'all talked about the Switch game? Was it on? Was it one of the evidence bags or was it a picture of the game? Okay, I would love for everybody to talk about this because I thought the Switch was missing. I thought the Switch was missing this whole time. Um, I feel like it said that the Nintendo Switch hasn't been recovered. Maybe I'm missing that. Maybe it's just from my recollection. But I saw the picture today in evidence of the Nintendo Switch, but I was like, is that a picture or did they actually find it? But they didn't say anything about that. And I know there was a visit to what's the place where you go to for the games and you can GameStop? I know that there was something in it at GameStop that had to do part of the investigation, but I thought the Nintendo Switch was missing. So they didn't, but they had a picture of it today. So I'm not too sure because they never, and I thought, oh my gosh, did they find it? They found the Switch under some furniture, but then I have a list. Okay, I have a list that said that they had a Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo Lite, or whatever that's called. They had a 3D, a Nintendo DS. So I don't know if that's the actual one that he used, or if that was an older one, or what. And they didn't say it. Yeah, I thought it was missing too, Steve. I wasn't too sure. So I'd like to get that figured out. That caught me by surprise because from everything that I understood that it was still missing. And now people are saying it was under a piece of furniture. So, okay. Then there was more talk about Eduardo. Linda says, "I went and watched that part twice. And what did you come up with?" He says to her, this is good for him right here because we've all wondered this about the candle. He said, "The candle video was bull." He said, "It's the same crap you tried to do to me, and that was horrible. You should go to jail over that. That's abuse, and you know that. You had him crying and thought he had to sell his Switch and his toys." He goes, "Where's my son? Where's he, Tisha? Why are you pausing? You're an effing liar." So he's getting right riled up now. And now that's where Michael Allen started talking about personality question. Was she consistent on the phone? Then she says, "I'm sorry for all the stories." So phone goes off. She calls back. "Sorry for all the stories. I just didn't know what to do." She's crying. And now she's talking about he was bleeding. His head was bleeding, which would make sense because he was shot in the jaw, in his head. I want immunity again. She says, "I didn't try to cover anything up. I just tried to figure out why he took him." So now this guy took him when Gannon was on the bike. He fell off the bike and hit his head in Douglas County. And then this guy with the bike wanted to take him and then bring him to his house. Like it's just it it's awful. It's awful. She says, Al says, "I'm worried about the head wound." She goes, "Well, it was pretty bad. And the clothes I had on had blood on them, but all of a sudden that was gone, right? Like she got rid of those clothes." Change Forever says, "Wasn't the switch in the suitcase where Gannon was found?" No, it was blankets in there, a pillowcase in there. There wasn't the switch in there, and there was bullets, casings in there. Um, they went again, them going on cruises and traveling. He asked, was there any concerns about mental health? And he said no. Any severe mental illnesses? No. There was a point where they talked about going to a therapist, and he said, "I only went once." And they talked about she was prescribed lorazepam, and then also that she's been going to counseling. And he said, "No, all I know about is this one time." This is where it gets good with um, Matthew Harris Law says, "I'm imagining that we haven't seen the biggest shocker twist in the case to offer. What do you think it will be?" Well, it won't be Letitia's ace in the hole. I think we're going to hear more details of what they find. Um, I think there's going to be some shockers about the daughter, about Harley. Mm, I have to really think about that. The autopsy will be worse than what we think, of course, but we've heard kind of what the gist of it is. But I think that's going to be bad. It's all bad. It's really all bad. Thanks for your question. And Change Forever. If I didn't say thank you for your super chat. I really appreciate it. What else? Okay, so back to Al. And yeah, I forgot. I forgot about the ace in the hole. Yeah, I can't forget about that, and the letters. I also did a video on that. Okay. Here's where I believe that Al's doing such a good job with keeping Tellini in line, because he was asking about how Letecia felt, and Al says, "You're asking me to testify how she felt. I'm going to stay away from that, Mr. Tellini." So I love the boundaries that he's putting on him, and Mr. Tellini's kind of flailing a little bit about that. They talked about a Mother's Day card. This was a big thing too for me. This little detail. He said, Mr. Tellini says, "There was a Mother's Day card from Gannon to Miss Stauch. Do you remember that?" He says, "Well, it looks familiar. He says, "It's similar to the handwriting, but I haven't seen Gannon's handwriting in 3 years, Mr. Tellini." So I can't verify that that's Gannon's writing. Like he just said, it looks similar, but I haven't seen it in 3 years. It was just like, oh, just ripped my heart out. Interesting that he said Saturday night, the night that Al left to go to Denver, he went to Denver and then he flew to Oklahoma because he had his mom in town for the week. He said that his mom was a nurse practitioner in the mental health field. I thought that was interesting. And they had conversations with the mom. He raised concern about Letecia. But he said, Tellini said, well, did your mom say she should be on medication? He says, I don't remember that specifically. And then Tellini brings a picture of Garden of the Gods Day with Gannon's little sister, and Letecia. And he leaves it with Al. And Al, I love this again. He's like, would you like this back, Mr. Tellini? I don't want it sitting in front of me. Good for him. More boundaries. Like, take this back. Don't want it. It was great. Yeah, stuff you don't think about, not seeing his baby's handwriting. I know. It's terrible. This is again Al doing his boundaries, because he talks about not finding the car. And then he goes to say, Tellini says, you said she's an intelligent person, meaning Letecia. And I love Al said this, do you have record of me saying that? So he wants to see it. And he says, well, you indicated that she had a stacked education. Al says, once again, do you have that on record? And Tellini's now like, he's flailing, he's trying to find his records. He's like, well, there's an interview with Detective Bethel that you said that. I love that. That was great. Claire says, thank you for your contribution, you rock. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. What else? Tellini to me is weak. I feel like at this point we got a lot of weeks to go, but I feel it's coming strong so far. I have full faith in Michael Allen, and I always said that, and I do. Mr. Tellini can't even get the name right. What kind of details is he looking into? I'm just saying. If you can't get the name right, I don't know. Tellini says, are you aware that Dr. Niederhauser, that's that doctor that they went to go visit, he said only once, but apparently she was going. But this Niederhauser advised her to quit her job because her mental health issues were becoming so severe. He's like, I didn't know that. Great to see you too. It's nice being back on a live stream. I love it. I always have loved it. It's just been a little bit of an adjustment this past year. So the schedule's a little bit crazy. Trying to get videos out for you is a little bit crazy. I'm doing everything that I can. And actually, the connections shouldn't be too bad tonight, even though I'm not even hardwired in. So that's good. I had to change providers as well because that was not working. Okay. Then there's the word that this Taylor came up. So Tellini's trying to say that, I guess, allude to that maybe she has an alter ego named Taylor. But Al's like, well, when I met Letecia, Facebook said Tisha Taylor, and her middle name's Lynn. So she said she's always wanted her middle name to be Taylor, not Lynn. Michael says, did she ever use the name Taylor and start acting crazy or have other personalities or talking in other languages? This is the hint we're going to get. I bet he's going to start talking about that she's going to be talking in other languages. And this is the hint from Michael Allen. So this will be interesting what's going to come up. I think. Yeah, you guys missed it. That's sweet. So then we had the witnesses. We had 4 witnesses after these phone calls were done, and one of them was the gentleman who found Gannon in the suitcase at the bridge. And he said that this bridge gets inspected every 2 years. Imagine, you guys, the same month that Gannon is in the suitcase of the bridge is the same month that they're coming to inspect this bridge. And it's been 2 years. So he goes to inspect it and he finds with his workmate, his coworker, he finds this suitcase. They inspect the bridge, they come back, they pick up this suitcase and like, Jesus is heavy. At the time, Gannon would have been 90 pounds, plus the blankets and everything that was in there and in this big suitcase. And so they they go and open this suitcase, and right away they said they could smell it and they knew something was wrong. Um, he said this area is like a marshy area, and he said when he said it was an odd angle when they first got into it, but they noticed it was very heavy. He said probably maybe waterlogged or saturated. They thinking clothes in there, right? But then they opened it and they noticed the smell, and he said he knew something, died, but he thought maybe it was just people. He said it was normal that they'd have, litters of puppies or whatever, that things would be discarded. So he said he unzipped it, and then this is the worst part. For me, even the guy who was talking about it on the stand, you could tell this just was ripping into him because he said the first thing I saw were 2 little feet that had little football socks on. And he said, and before anything else happened, the coworker dumped the suitcase over and immediately knew it was a body. Couldn't even tell if it was a boy or a girl, just black hair, dark hair, and an older suitcase. He said there was lots of blankets in the suitcase, a pillow, body was in a fetal position, partially wrapped. He said, couldn't tell. I turned my head, walked away after that, called the inspector, and his partner was a volunteer firefighter, which is amazing in itself too, because, they deal with these emergencies as well. They called 911 and they came up. So, I mean, in that way too, 2 years, it could have been 2 years, right? Even though it was the worst case scenario, obviously. Then the criminal investigator with Escambia came from Florida. Sorry, yeah, major crimes detective with with the sheriff's office. They were called out. There was the body, and he talked about that. He was just going through some of the evidence, like once they saw the body, they were looking for missing children. They got a Colorado flyer saying, somebody's missing in Colorado. He said things were very similar, dental features with 2 large teeth in the gap because Gannon has a little gap on there. And he said it was starting all to come together the next day. They went to the autopsy. The person cleaned them up, and then he was able to see. He just, yeah, the football socks are just rips a strip. Then the next witness was the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. Yeah, the detective from Major Crimes there, talking about getting toothbrush for DNA for Gannon. Al and Landon did swabs. They talked about in the dishwasher at home that Letecia had scrub brushes in there, and Al said there's like a bunch of vinegar gone, and that's the day that she also sent Harley to go get a bunch of stuff from the dollar store and clean. Yeah, so this is where they have the switch question mark because that's confusing me. I thought that was never found. So, but then Letitia was talking about when the body cam footage came out. Sorry, one sec. When the cam footage came out, she was talking about they had a DS and Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Lite. This. So I was like, wonder which one's what, and what's missing, and all that. Yeah. So this is a good point. When the big suitcases only hover around 50 pounds, I think the airport's 60 pounds top. I don't even think you can get to that. I was away in December, and I think it was under that for Canadians. Um, I had to make sure it was like 42 pounds or something. It was too much stuff, but it was Christmas time. 100 pounds is very heavy. So what I did when this first happened, I did a video clip of I put my workout weights in a suitcase. I put 90 pounds in there and then demonstrated what it would take to pull this up. I'm curious how, and here's something to think about. I'm curious how Letitia would get this suitcase that's 90 pounds lifted up and over the bridge without help. I don't know how that could be possible. Maybe she's freakishly strong, but 90 pounds to pick that up and put it over that bridge is confusing me. I'm wondering how she did it. It would it would mean a lot of effort. And 90 pounds of dead weight is next level. And you can ask that for firefighters and paramedics. As you know, my ex-husband was or is a paramedic. Not was, he is. So think about that, how to get over the bridge. Adrenaline? Maybe. 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 Yeah, the guy with the suitcase did say it was quite heavy. So they talked a little bit about swabbing for DNA. Yeah, and then the body cam, and then we heard her say blah 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 to the cops. Blah blah blah, that's what it was. She said blah 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 to the cops, but to Al it's yada yada yada. And also her calls to that one girl that used to call and talk to her, was a total stranger, and she'd talk. No, I'm not married anymore. I split last June. Yeah. Yeah, ex-husband. I split last. It's been a ride. It's been a big ride for the last 10 months. Yeah. No more. It's okay though. It's okay. It's just been quite it was just been quite the journey. Deborah says, I'm 5'4", 170 pounds and can lift 90 pounds easily. Um, put in a suitcase, put 90 pounds in a suitcase, okay, and then carry it up the stairs. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just, a little hard. You guys are very sweet. I'm okay. It's just been a little bit of a journey. Exactly. Dead weight is different weight to living weight. Absolutely. I'm getting I'm getting a proposal now. Uh, you guys, so sweet. So yeah, they did the body cam stuff, and they didn't talk today though in the arrest affidavit. They were talking about going into the garage and believing that Gannon was in the vehicle in the garage. They didn't talk about that today. So I don't know if that's going to be continuation. Now, here's something that maybe you guys can help me out on. Tomorrow, there's no trial, but I think I missed why there's no trial tomorrow, but that they're continuing Friday. Maybe you guys can help me. That's sweet. Oh, that's sweet. Hear that out there? Any guy would be lucky to have me. That's sweet. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you. Some old suitcases have handles for horizontal or vertical. That's true. Maybe that helped her. Al said today or yesterday, today, that the suitcase has something wrong with that handle. There was one of them that was broken, he believed. So that was interesting. That's sweet. Thank you. Muffler man is gone. Muffler man is gone. I had to move, so there's no muffler man. Okay, they're not having court every Thursday. Okay, well, that gives me time to catch up. We're good. We're good because we got Letecia, then we have Lori Daybell, right? They're doing jury selection right now, and I got to cover Lori Daybell because I've done what did I say? 150 videos on Lori or more, 150 plus. Can't remember, 170, 150. And then we have 70 in Gannon. So it's just going to be very busy. Plus, we have the West trial, and then everybody else. I think June we have Koberger. It's crazy. So it gives me a little bit of a break from Letecia, regroup, do some other stuff for videos, and then keep going. I did. Well, I'm not quite divorced yet. You have to be separated for a year in Alberta in order to get divorced. So I'm at 10 months. I have 2 more months and then I will be. But it's all good. Okay, you guys are awesome. Judge has other cases on Thursday. Awesome. I knew you guys would know. You guys are smart. Oh, and Nate tweeted court for Lori tomorrow at 1:30. Okay, this is great. You guys are awesome. Am I going live while watching the trial? Well, I'm going live now. I thought about putting it on my channel. Uh, would you guys prefer for me to just stream it, but it'd be streaming for 10 weeks straight? Or would you like the condensed version, either in a live or on my regular videos, where I script it and it's a little bit more put together and more organized rather than me just talking to you guys. But I really love this aspect of being able to talk to you because I get your thoughts. I read the comments on my videos, but I get to talk in real time. So I like that. Dominique's like, you don't need a man anyway. You're a strong, independent woman. Well, some days. Yeah, Al identified the suitcase. He was saying, I mentioned Robin. I mentioned her putting her Kleenex in her pants already earlier tonight. Matt says, I think Harley helped her throw the suitcase over the bridge. That's why they were talking about Harley on day one. And I just, I want to bring up the point of this rental van wasn't a van that has, divided. You know, how some vans are divided or closed off to the back. It wasn't. This was that. So I don't know exactly. I don't know if they're going to bring it up, but there's going to be something. And maybe because Harley might say exactly what Letitia's like, and maybe that's going to help. I don't know. It's been 3 years. So Harley would be 2021. Hi, Jason. When did this happen, Linda? You and Mr. Muffler Man? No. No, are you talking about my ex or Muffler Man's the one that, that went by? That was September. I moved in September. I had to move. Condensed. Okay, you like that condensed. Okay. And Blue Canary says, I like this version, so maybe I could do both. Condensed and, you'd watch my stream. Okay. Yeah, I hear a lot of people are streaming it, live reaction. Well, I know it's going to get more interesting. We got, so what, 4, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to go. I don't remember. 6, 8, 10, however long it's going to be. You want it all. Okay, well, I'll get some, I'm going to get some good goodies out of it because I like the little details. So we'll be able to do a little bit, and maybe I can pop on live during the break. I would. I'm not abandoning this case now for sure. I'm going till the end. Okay, there are enough channels streaming the case. Okay, you guys. Change Forever says, Linda, you did 144 plus on the Valo case. You're celebrated, Linda. Thank you. Thanks for your super chat too. Thank you for your kind words. 144 plus. Isn't that funny? That's the 144 number. So some of you might be wondering, what the heck? How come she has it like that? But 144 is a jab at Lori because Lori wanted to lead the 144,000 to the second coming of Christ, and I got there first. Sometimes you just have to bring a little bit of humor to terrible situations. Thank you. Us men need a woman like Linda. Ah, this is great. Thank you for the nice little compliments tonight. Appreciate it. Let's see. Remember how much history. I forget a few details, but I have been reviewing them and I'm going, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. But it's hard, isn't it? Yeah, this is a cool story. So I had to sell my house. It wasn't selling. And then it finally sold, and I had 12 hours to find another house, which was crazy. And at the time, things were bananas at selling the house. And so I come in this house and I walk in, and it was like the only one possible for me to get in the time that I needed. And all the other ones are being snatched up. So I walk around the house and I'm looking at the bookshelves, and there's true crime books on the shelf. And I'm going, well, that's weird. That's really strange. Okay. And so I go to text my friend, actually friend slash assistant, and says, like, oh my gosh, did you hear this case, this case, this case? Well, this guy sounds like Muffler Guy. Did you hear that? It's the first time I heard it. Anyways, And I accidentally texted her instead, so I sounded super psycho because I'm talking about a true crime case. And she goes, Linda, I think you meant to text somebody else." This is the old owner. And I went, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm a YouTuber. I'm not crazy. I'm not psycho. I'm just a YouTuber who does true crime." She goes, "True crime, really?" And I said, "Yeah, I noticed that you had books on the shelf." And she said, "That's nothing. I have a whole series of serial killers, but I thought it was inappropriate to have on the shelf." So it was kind of that was kind of neat. That was kind of neat. Is it Kia? Is that how you say your name, Kia? Or Kaya. I can't believe she's using the DID defense. Yeah. I want to know more about this. I know the doctor Dorothy Lewis is supposed to have a bunch of accolades and all that, but I'm very curious how she arrived at this when two other examinations or what do you call it have been deemed sane. She deemed competent, and all of a sudden she's not. Well, what's that based on? What happened? Did she get this MRI done? She's supposed to get an MRI done, and that's never done. So yeah, so many people I've seen in comments saying they started following me again, and that was one of my few first first big case really to go, and I was doing that every day, and I think I was up till 2 in the morning, and then up again in the morning, just trying to get figure it out. Live weekly recap so we can still talk. That's cool. Okay, thank you, Tracy. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, I mean, I love lives. I really do. It's been a long time. I have a weird kind of schedule right now, but maybe soon I can figure it all out. I don't know. I'm also a mom and then also have to get videos out, so it's been a little bit crazy. Texas Sunshine says, "Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for the super chat." Aw. Well, I do my best, you guys. It's just it's a one woman show plus an assistant part time. So it's hard to keep pumping out these videos, but I do my best. There's a lot of research involved, as you know. And those who know me and watch me, I like the details. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer for me to do the details and start connecting some of the dots because I like doing that too. Just, yeah, I appreciate you guys too. I would love a live on the court lunch break. Okay, cool. That's cool. How many signs do I need? I don't know. It depends on the day. Sandra Jackson, thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, it was kind of crazy how it just all fell into place about this house. And it was literally the last one left. And I thankfully I loved it. But it was really strange how that all worked out. And right before that, I met a woman who just was walking down the street, and I swear I was so upset because the house wasn't selling, and I was so tired. I spent all my summer just trying to sell this house. This woman comes walking down the street, and I swear she felt like I felt like I knew her before, and she's going, "Oh, you have a lot of work now that you moved in." I said, "No, no, I'm the seller," and she looks confused, and she looks at the for sale sign. She's like, I could have sworn I saw that was for sale or that was sold. And I said, "No, I wish I've been selling it all, trying to sell it all summer." She goes, "I have a feeling you'll sell it by Sunday." This was a Wednesday or Thursday. I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I could have sworn I saw a sold sign on there. It's crazy." I said, "You must be my angel." She says, I don't know. I just feel like you'll sell it by Sunday." I said, "You must be my angel. I feel like you are." No word of a lie. She walks away. We chit chat a little bit longer. And she walks away and she has an angel tattoo on her arm all the way up as she walks away. I just cried like a baby. It's like, what is going on? I sold the house by Sunday. I kid you not. It was Sunday night. I got the message that the house, you're getting an offer. And these people didn't even see the house. They did it by video showing, and then they offered the house. It was crazy. And then here I am. So I guess I'm having a little support by the universe, or however you want to look at it, but it was a little bit nuts. L says, "Thank you. You're awesome. Love their live recaps. Look up when rabbit howls DID case." Ooh, interesting. I will write that down. Thank you so much, and thanks for the super chat. Um, when rabbit howls, cool. Well, it'll be fascinating to find out what this doctor says. And they were late on this report. They were supposed to get it in by February. They didn't until March 21st, which is the day after the first day of jury selection. And the judge said, no, 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 you get it by the 20th. You're already late. Like, this is enough. And not so much. Kia, like the car. Okay, Kiyomoko. Okay. Is the name of the Wicked Witch of the West Castle, Kiyomoko Castle. I'm a nerd. I love that. I love that. Kia. She's evil, not insane. Agreed. Agreed and said it. Oh, oh Lord. Let's let's just talk about this for 1 second. We could do memory lane. I actually found Linda when she did that amazing video on the Watts case, and everyone in the true crime community went insane. I had death threats. It was bad. What I learned is, don't do a video super angry like that. Don't do a video like that when I'm angry. I can be spicy, but maybe not that angry. I learned my lesson on that. I still stick to what I saw. I don't change that, but I did learn a lot. And don't use a yellow background. Because I just decided to hit record, right? And do in front of the background. So I don't know. Yeah, there's this is an issue too. From the beginning, every now and then, I think YouTube unsubscribe me from It's a Crime, and I'll have to manually research and redo. I get this so often, and I talk to YouTube about it, and they're like, "No, that's not a thing." Like, no, it is a thing. Look at my comments; it's a thing. People are saying that all the time. Just make sure that you watch constantly, and then the algorithm will like, "Oh, there's a notification now." Jason says, "Linda, do you have an update on the kid who went missing and they found his truck burned up with the steering column taken out?" Bye, Letecia. Thanks, Jason. You know what? Weird that you say that. I was talking about him today. His name's Marshall Awasa, and there is nothing that I know of, no update. Now that it's springtime, I live a couple hours away from Lethbridge. I almost feel like maybe going and doing a different type of video and going to see where he was last seen, and maybe talk about that. What do you think about that? He still hasn't been found. Interestingly, there was a documentary being filmed in Calgary that I found out, that a woman, I guess she's super nerdy, awesome, and does patterns for serial killers and things like that. So I bring that up because it just reminds me of me talking about Marshall. And there's a bunch of men who are going missing in Western Canada, that I'm starting to find little patterns. And I thought, this is really weird. So I'd like to do something, boots on ground, kind of just going and not necessarily investigating, but just talking about, this is where they're last seen. They're still missing. So maybe something I can look at. Gets me out of the house too. And thanks for the super chat, Jason. Kia says, "Georgia case, Debbie Collier, no way it's unalive." Whoo, I got in trouble for that Debbie Collier video. people are having to check themselves off on it because I used that S word and I had no idea. And then it was like, you can't use that. And then they gave me this email saying, make sure you're safe and okay. I was like, what are you guys talking about? I'm talking about how it's not that. And yeah, they demonetized the video and all kinds of things. Shadow Star said that would be an awesome video. Okay. Road trip. Yeah, it's so weird. So those of you who don't know, Marshall, he was living in Calgary in Canada. He decided to go one night to go get something from his storage unit a couple hours away where his mom lives. Visited his mom, fixed her computer, help her out. By morning, he was gone, and they found his vehicle all the way for like I guess would be for you guys, it'd be a state over, but it's province over. And it was 14 hours away on a logging road. And this vehicle was found burnt to a crisp and no sign of Marshall. And the steering column was taken out. But authorities didn't find that too suspicious. So they didn't impound the vehicle. It was just sitting out there. And they just went, yeah, I don't know, and there's no sign of Marshall on video all the way out there, nothing. So very, very strange. And there's been other cases about vehicles being left on a logging road, which is where his was found. So it was very weird. It's so sad. Paula's in. Oh yeah, I remember Paula. You're in Lethbridge. Yeah, maybe I could do that. Let you know when I'm coming. Linda in the field. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything crazy on boots on the ground. Just talk about the area and stuff. I'm not into doing anything too crazy. Jason says, I'm a mechanic and it's a big deal to remove a steering column out. Yeah, and what's thank you for sharing that. What's interesting too is when I was reading on the different vehicles, Marshall was driving the vehicle, one of the top vehicles that people do that to. That is one of actually what was it? It was one of the top stolen vehicles at that time in Canada. And so here's the thing, like why would he remove the steering column, right? And then burn it. And where's the steering column? I know it's weird. It's super weird. The family's just been trying to figure that out and everything. It's been weird. Mary says, I remember your old background just like a chair in your laptop. You were at 70K when I subbed. Isn't that awesome? Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, my yellow background on my round chair. And now we have this. This may change again. But at the time it was well, it looked yellow. It was like a brownish beigeish wall, but it kind of looked yellow, like mustard yellow. It was terrible. Yeah, it was a Chevy. I can't remember the model. West Boys they started their trial last week. This week no trial. Next week they go back. I'll do a little update on that once I take a little bit look, because it's been a little bit hectic this week on all that information. Yeah, I did read that actually. Little Chloe, the little girl from Australia, he was sentenced to 13 years in prison, right? I remember reading that yesterday. I try and keep up, you guys. It's hard. Sometimes like, how do people do it? I guess they have a bunch of teams and stuff. So Silverado Chevy. There we go, Jason. You're on it. Yeah, Ash Marie says makes a good point. I found it weird that the cop that searched the house for Gannon said his room didn't smell of cleaning products or smell weird. But there was also what wasn't mentioned today in the affidavit was that the officer said it was quite a pleasant smell in the basement, no burning. So I thought that was interesting too. He said smelled like coconut, I think it was. Something like that, like the candle. So you know how you burn something and you have that charred smell and it kind of sits there for a while? How come that wasn't there? Summer Wells is still missing. What I do is I keep tabs on the cases, on all the cases. I try and get as much as I can and do an update when I can, but sometimes it's like, what do I do this week? Do I do this? Do I do that? My throat. I guess I haven't talked this much on live stream in a long time. But I sure like talking to you guys. Yeah, there was yeah, the carpet was cut. And then in the body cam tonight, they were talking about, or today, they were talking about a box cutter she was talking about, and she told them about the carpet. Cami says, did the Polish woman do her DNA test to see if she was Madeline McCann? She did, and she is not Madeline McCann. Lex Luthor says, what the F was up with these allegations at the base? Well, there's allegations everywhere Letecia goes. Do you know that she also there was a bomb um, threat? What's the word do I want to say? She, she has everywhere she goes, there's some sort of allegation. Just like the threats in her peanut butter, just like somebody's ruining her constitutional rights, and now she needs kosher meals and that's not kosher, and this and Smeat isn't kosher, but I guess she can go to Burger King when she lived in Colorado Springs, and I don't know. Anything on Justin Evans? No, basically they're not investigating it. Maybe one day. So it's always something. So I wouldn't even be surprised if something's going to come up during this trial. I'm waiting for it. I saw Letecia like this, like, okay. Jody says, Highland, I got divorced after 25 years in abusive marriage. I credit you, among other YouTube true crimers, for covering stories like the Morphew case, for helping me realize I need to get out. Yeah, well, it's a good thing you got out, Jody. You know what? I think when we hear these other stories or see them, it's kind of like, didn't realize this was such, maybe this is worse than I thought it was, because sometimes when people are in it, you get used to it, right? There's a lot of things. So glad you got out. Better safe than sorry for sure, because these things these things turn out interesting. I actually had a date. Um, in December, early January. I don't recommend it. He was total narcissist, and I had to disarm him pretty PDQ. So that didn't turn out. Oh, I'm gonna stay single for a while. But I had to disarm him for sure. I learned from this doing this channel how to identify him pretty darn quick, and it was I give it that, like, it had to be my experience on here in order to see that, because I think it would have been not good. Yeah, it's just uh, yeah. I was married up until last June. Linda's single, oh sweet Jesus. Yeah, I am. Nomad Life says, new subscriber. Welcome aboard. Yeah, following true crime shows red flags. Well, yeah. I have a cat. I wish I had water. Oh, maybe I have a cough candy. What do you guys call them? Lozenges in the States, but we call them cough candies. I guess I don't yap as much lately. So sweet. Cough drops. You guys also say soda, right? And we say pop. Cough candies. Cough drop. You guys. Soda and pop, yeah. Um, and sweet tea. That's another thing. Wait, I gotta find this. Al said he was so fed up of her. Where is that? I wrote it down. Okay. Al says, I'm getting fed up. Now it all happened in the storage room because it was changing, right? And he goes, Gannon was high-fiving him. Gannon's it's in the room, and now it's in the storage room. There's a Mexican. He says to Tisha, you're in the house and just drinking sweet tea. And he's like, I'm holding you at gunpoint, but go ahead and call the police. It's like, you know how frustrating it is, or, can sympathize with Al, but with some of the things he said, it was like, no kidding. Like, she's an idiot. Yeah, we call it iced tea here, not sweet tea. Yeah, I listened, well, I was typing, so I had to listen at normal, but then I had to try at 1.5 so that I can make my day a little faster. It's only sweet tea if it has sugar. Yeah, here we call it iced tea, and iced tea has sugar. The differences. Well, what else? Yeah, there's like 17 different stories. Quincy, Eduardo, the guy with the bike, Terrence. Well, it comes out the same, like Sweet tea and iced tea aren't the same. Sweet tea you make hot, mix with sugar while it's hot, then refrigerate. Iced tea we get from a can. That's powder, and you have it cold. That's how we do it here, apparently. Hey, Crystal, nice to see you. I always see you in the comments. Thank you for covering Gannon's case. You're the most knowledgeable. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for the super chat. We talk lots in the comments. I try to anyways. I read all the comments. I try and get back. Especially the first hour when I have a video up, I'm trying to message as fast as I can, get to everybody. I've always loved that. I say sofa. I don't say couch. Well, I used to say couch, but I don't say that now. I say sofa. Buggy or shopping cart? Shopping cart. No, it's not Kool-Aid, it's iced tea. Okay. Yeah, this is we're all on this boat here. We thought that the switch was never found, and I feel like that was said that the switch was never found, and that's why we're like not found. But they had pictures of the switch today, but they didn't say if that was the switch. But somebody was saying they said they found it by a couch, but Letecia said there's a list of different devices that they had. So I don't know. Runners, not tennis shoes. Oh, yes, and Letecia looked up to Kim Kardashian. That was the other one. That's right, Amanda. Because it says, can you find the switch or whatever? But there was something else. There was something else, and I remember there was a GameStop. She went to a GameStop, and there's something else. You guys are all saying the differences of what to say. Yeah, can Nintendo find my Switch? That's right. But there was something else. I feel like it was, I don't know, was it a interview or so? I don't know. There was something. Yeah, after T's, where is that? After T's Google searches, she proved her real self deserving of more. And don't forget the fake polygraph. I think she wanted to punish Al. I guess we'll have to rewatch all your videos on Switch Hunt. Yeah. I have, Olivia. In fact, I did start one, but I'm like, I have to get in on it. I would love to do it, actually. So I do have an account and I have maybe 2 videos on it, but I need to get going. I mean, my number 1 is YouTube, and then to do that, but I'd like to. A little behind the 8 ball on the younger people because it's a lot of work, and younger people is just like, "No, I could do it. I just do, 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 do. I'm in here, I'm on here, I'm in here, on here." I'm going, "Whoa, I just need to concentrate on one thing at a time." How do people do it? Miss Linda, did they ever find Eduardo? No, imagine that. Eduardo Amoleto wasn't still yet to be found. Isn't there a TikTok ban? I know there's a ban with the government officials. There's things happening in the States. I'm in Canada. However, let me just tell you this. Our government wants to censor Canadian content creators. Therefore, if this bill gets put through, there will be censorship. I got an email from YouTube. And if this bill goes through, I may be, as my son says, buttered. Buttered means killed, how he uses the word. And so that's been a lot of worry and a lot of sleepless nights for me. So we'll see what happens. And you know what the worst part is? Let me tell you the worst part. I found out yesterday that our head of, the country started his own YouTube channel while he's trying to suppress all Canadian content creators, not just YouTube. So what would happen is they would take precedence, whatever he wants, because he's censoring it. It's kind of like this. This is the best way it was explained. The best way it was explained was, let's say you go to a restaurant. You're like, you know what? I really want a burger. I want a burger. I'm going to order a burger. So you order a burger, and the waiter comes out and says, here's your salad. And you're like, I didn't order a salad. I don't want a salad. I want a burger. They're like, yeah, but out of 70 burgers, we have to give 50 salads. So it'll be also for viewers, Canadian viewers. So if you want to do like, let's say you love cooking, right? And you're watching a cooking show and you love it. Usually the algorithm's gonna be like, oh, if you like this cooking show, you'll probably like this barbecue show channel. Nope. They're gonna choose what you want to see and they'll push everybody else down. So you have to be Canadian enough and possibly have to go and submit my videos. This has been going on for a year. Okay, it's been going on for a year, but it's progressing. So I've made a couple of reach outs. We'll see what happens. We're just gonna hope that that's gonna be okay. But apparently he did his own channel and he's monetized in a week. So figure that one out. Oh, there's another YouTube lawyer. Ooh, I'm gonna have to check that person out. So yeah, really good Canadian content makers. There's apparently 35,000 Canadian content creators. So we're just going to keep on trucking. I'm not going to go without a fight. So maybe it'll be fine. But you'll see something maybe that you're like, oh, this is what she's talking about. She figured something out. Aw. Do I have a team? No, I have one person who helps me, who helps a lot. But I have one person helping. And of course, this community to back me up is awesome. Yeah, there's lots of YouTubers being worried. Oh yeah, he's not pro-Canadian, he's pro-self. Actually, he reminds me of Lori. He actually did, okay, this is what happened. I saw on his YouTube channel. He did like the clacker, you know, the clacker when you do movies. He did the clacker and he's like, ah, I see so many YouTubers do this. And I thought, oh my God, he's like Lori Daybell, you know, like just puffing this chest. I think he's trying to make up for something he lacks, you know, there. I hate her. I hate him. Like, it's just, I hate him. I don't hate people except for Lori, May Letecia, Barry. And now you know who. So it's been a little bit of sleepless nights, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. Everybody's going to sponsor me. We can go on an island. Let's go to an island. No, it's not about hiring somebody in the States. That's the thing. It's because I live here and I'm a Canadian. Oh, yeah. I remember that guy too. I'm going to write that down. We're going to figure something out. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's just YouTube. It's like any social media is what they're trying to do. So we'll see what happens. I just trying to chill out and keep doing it. But I tell you, some days it's hard to chill out when you're just a little bit worried. I look after I'm a single mom now. I look after my kids, and there's just some worries. I will. Yeah, I've seen him before. I'll look them up. Stone's throw from Martha's Vineyard. Awesome. It'll be interesting. I actually have citizenship in Malta. Thought about that, but I don't think that's going to help. Yeah, Edmonton's only 3 hours away. Thank you, Snow Bunny. I do my best. I'm not the fastest, even though I work all day at it, but I do try. Thank you so much. Malta, yeah. Okay, everybody's getting the deal here. What happened? We split in June, so Mama's single. Yeah, anybody want to get married? I need to go to the States. Gotta wait 2 more months though. Oh my God, it's 11:15, you guys. How did we do that? I'm wide awake now. Yeah, aw, like and share. That's sweet. Thank you. Nice to see you too. Oh my gosh. I know, girl can talk. Thank you, no juice. I do try. Hi, Tots. I know, 2 hours, and I thought, "Oh, I don't know if I have a lot of content to talk about." Apparently, I have 2.5 hours worth, but it was good. I think we needed to get this off on the table, talk about the case. This is something that's just been so frustrating for so many years, watching Letecia and her shenanigans, and there's gonna be more. I mean, 10 months or 10 weeks to go or 8, I forget now. I think 6 to 8, he said. And it's just gonna get worse. So we have to sometimes laugh. Yeah, I'm in Alberta, Calgary, Alberta. Hi, Jolene. Thank you. I do my best. It's sometimes I forget, and I forget the little details, but I do try and catch up on it. But then it comes to me. I would like to go down next week. I'm a year older, and Landon's also, well, she's younger than me, but she's also born on the same day. Two trials going at once. Yeah, right? We've waited for so long and then they end up being the same time. Thanks for joining. Thanks for everybody hanging out. Yeah, April babies. And my twin brother, I guess. It's his birthday too. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of screaming pretty soon. I'm trying to figure out a way around it. So I do have a male version of me. I do. He's a half an hour older. Been watching for years. That's amazing. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching even one video. I appreciate and staying for years. That's amazing. I am the 11th. Yes. I'm not turning 36 though. I'm older than that. A lot older than that. Yeah, Gannon, when we started, that would obviously end of January. I started in November of 2019 was my first case I put on here. And then by January, I was covering Gannon. My stand video iconic. You like that? A lot of people, I get mixed reviews about that. Some people really like my theory videos, and it seems like a lot of people like my theory videos because of the view count. But then some people are like, no, I want you to do just the timelines and the stuff. So let me know if you like more of that stuff. I have some things to dissect. Yeah, it is today is Mr. Linda's birthday. Well, he's not Mr. Lin anymore, but you know. uh, well, I still have a video to put out that I really want to put out. I really, really do, and that's on Ray Rivera, the note. I really do. What's the next, Mr. Linda? Hello from Alberta. Hello, BC. I know I gotta remove the emoji. I gotta do that. Yeah, you know what? Funny you should say that. I thought I was gonna move in summertime to BC, and then that was no longer. So, uh, I'm here for longer in cold Alberta, and it's been snowing, you guys, for ages. Like, we're talking dumps of snow, and I'm done with it. You guys are so nice. All the nice comments and compliments. And thank you to my mods because I'm sure you're getting rid of some of the not nice ones. Thank you. This is good. It's a crime cruise with a murder mystery. We invite Barry Morphy and try to figure out who tossed him overboard. This is the best comment of the night. I'm screenshotting this because it's hilarious. Bear, you watching? Oh, that's funny. Kia says the Danny Masterson trial, Scientology for caught meddling starts again soon. He's going down. I haven't read up on that in quite some time, Kia. Thank you for the super chat again. I haven't seen that some quite some time, but I'll see how that's going. Thanks, Matt, man. I am keeping up with the West trial. I'll be doing something on that. Just trying to uh, balance and navigate. Kind of, it's like, what am I doing today? Which one? How am I going to do this? What do I have more figured out or prepped? Grumpy says, "I love you because of Justin Evans." Well, that one's going to come back. I think it's going to come back. I think it's going to take me running into the right person and bring it back, and then we'll see what happens. Because I still got that in me. I still got that in me. A little bit of fight. Viewers since my first video. Isn't that amazing? And I'm going with 3.5 years now. Thank you, Susan. Thank you. International waters, bear. Squirrel hunt on the upper deck. Everyone gets a shotgun but Barry. It's really funny. Thank you for the laughs. I appreciate that. uh, Cruising is a blast. You guys are funny. I love you guys. Linda was one of my first subs, Crime Talk, and it's a crime. Man, it's been a long time. It's crazy how things shift. Just even seeing some of my earlier videos to now, and just I don't know, sometimes I watch and there's that one, okay, if you guys remember, there's that one Letecia video that I said a saying that I shouldn't say, but I didn't know the true reason. So that was the naive part of me. I didn't know what that meant. And then I used it throughout the entire video, and people want me to do a mug. You remember that? Aw, thank you. Thought I was 28. Well, bless you for that. I was gonna do a I'll show you, maybe I'll draw it. I was gonna do a mug, okay, because people wanted a mug. So, let's see if you can figure this out. I know you will, but it's still funny. So, I was gonna color it with a red circle, okay? This is a terrible picture, but, like, I'm just gonna basics. Maybe I should draw the mug. Okay, we're just gonna draw the mug. That should have been centered a little bit more. Okay, this is craft time and art time with Linda. Okay, this is what the mug was gonna look like. Well, it's gonna be red right there, red, and that on the do you get it? With a circle? That's what the mug was gonna look like. You want one? I might have to start selling those if you know who's gonna have their censorship. I might have to sell those for a living. Uh, and we're just gonna have to email it to each other. Right? What else am I gonna do? I don't know. Okay, Olivia doesn't get it. So I did this video and okay, this is a true story. My sister told me a long time ago she used this phrase. But basically it's like, you know how Letecia talks like in circles. She talks in circles all the time. It's like word salad. She does it even on the phone calls all the time. But throughout the whole thing, I was saying circle jerk, but I didn't know what the real meaning was because my sister, who's 13 years older than me, always said that phrase. So I thought it meant like, oh my gosh, she talks all the time, in a circle. So I was doing this in the video all the time, calling it a circle jerk. And people are like, oh my God, Linda, that's not what it means. So I know from the first day that's not what it means. But still to this day, people are like, did I just hear Linda from It's a Crime say circle jerk over and over? And I'm going, oh my God. Did not take the video down. So I should get brownie points. I did not take the video down. But to this day, I just go, oh my God. So I still get people watching it. And they're like, "Oh, Linda, you didn't know what that means." I was like, "No, I do for the last 3 years. I know what it means, so I haven't said it again, but clearly in that video, I didn't know what that means." Google it if you don't know what it means. Google it. It'll make you blush. So, this is where this people are like, "We want a mug. We want a mug." And I've been wanting to do a mug just like that. Maybe I could put an egg in the middle for Eduardo. Just own it. Oh, I've owned it. Maybe I can make an exclusive mug. Oh, right? We gotta laugh. I mean, how many times all of us haven't, we haven't all been safe from being an idiot. Oh, Mary says I'm trying to figure out the hamburger versus the salad. Basically, if you want to order the burger, meaning you want to see what you want to see online, you won't be able to because you're dished up something different. Just a circle with It's a Crime. Oh, you guys are the best. Put a little bobcat next to the circle. Yeah, I've been known to do some emojis that are a little bit, you know, like Barry with the bobcat and whatever. Put jerk and put a circle with a slash on top of it, and it could mean no jerks allowed, but we know all of the secret meaning. That's a good idea too. You guys are fun. So much fun. Okay, we have a couple more minutes. I'll do a couple more minutes and then I gotta go to sleep because I haven't slept very much. And tomorrow I'll be working on another video. And then Friday, we're in court with Tisha. And then we'll see what happens on the weekend. Oh, see, you guys are going to Google it. I told you. So I blame it on my sister. It's her fault. Nellie says, I cried my heart out with the first recording with Gannon's voice, and all I wanted to do was hug my own child. Thank you for your coverage. Yeah, thank you for watching and supporting me. All you guys watching my videos is a huge support. And we need to see justice. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get justice for Gannon. We can chuck a bunch of blue hearts in the comments and get justice for Gannon. We got to see it through. I'm hoping, you guys, that I could just be in Colorado. Do you know, for those of you who watch a lot of trials, do you know if typically you'll find out when the sentencing portion is ahead of time? Because I guess it depends on time, right? Like when they're done or not. Because I'd love to hop a flight and come down, but I don't know. Heaven on Earth says, Linda, I'm a new subscriber. Why do you think she did it? I think she was angry. I think she was trying to get back at Al. And what better way to get back at Al than to take his only son away, who reminds her of Al. That's what I think. She wanted to punish him. And what she did was overkill. Yeah, court. Oh, yeah, court on Good Friday. Good point. They said today, I heard them say no court tomorrow and court Friday at 9 a.m. So learn something new every day. See? There's always truth in her lies. Remember that? Wow. Not a federal holiday. There you go. Yeah, they're in session Friday. I heard the judge say that today. No session tomorrow. Friday at 9 o'clock, I think he said. Yeah, it was awesome, wasn't it? And I loved how he stood up. Al stood up to Tellini too, to set boundaries. Like, no, actually, show me that. Show me where I say that. Actually, love that. I do my best, you guys. I'd like to do some different stuff too. I need a little bit of help in the research department because it's just a lot of hours. Al did do a great job on the stand, and he did a great job on the phone. Thanks, Mimi. We're lucky to be able to see it. We are lucky. Yeah. So it's been, so far we've had phone calls. So far we had the opening statements and then for the witnesses. So we'll see what Friday brings, and we'll see. I mean, it's just going to get deeper and deeper, and we'll see what Michael Allen can bring to the table because I know it's going to get good. Yes. This was yes, I thought it was disrespectful. Mr. Tellini left that photo of Letecia and the kids in Hawaii. Al literally says, "Do you want this back? I don't want it in front of me." I know. That was good though. I good for him for being able to speak up. Good for him. Harley is Letitia's daughter. She was 17 at the time. Yeah, the phone calls were eye-opening. I think in my opinion, let me know what you think, but the phone calls with Letitia and Al, I think the jurors will be there'd be some eye openers. If they were neutral and they were listening to that, they would hear a very supportive husband and a wife that told too many stories. And I mean, she's already saying I did it, it just was crazy, but I don't so far you're not going to get that in my opinion, even though you know how I lean, but if I were to step back, I'm like, so far it's only day 3 though. Harley's not facing charges. Good night, bunny. 8 weeks. Yeah, because they were saying 6 to 8, and I know Lori's is like 10. And so many numbers. How do I keep it straight, you guys? How? So, all right. I'm gonna have to get going so I get some beauty sleep or some sort of sleep. And I'm so very glad that you guys were able to hang out with me tonight. Thank you so much to my mods. Thank you to you guys for hanging out with me. We're hanging out with up to 2,000 people tonight, so that's great. And just community, that's a huge thing. It's always been a huge thing for me is community. Love you guys. So we'll do more of this as we go through the trials. Let's connect again and check out my other videos as I'm bringing them out as well. Comment in the comments. I'll do my best to try and answer you in the comments. That's sweet. Thank you. Okay, you guys, good night. Thanks so much for being here. We are going to see you in the next video and keep an eye out. Check that little notification bell for when I go live again. Good night.